Good afternoon. Now I gotta ask, how are you guys liking my modern blogs thus far?
Swear to God, I'd rather be polishing boots than sit through this crap.
With snakes in them, I presume? And no, I'm not talking about the reptile. Damn, man, I really thought I had a good thing going here. I guess I should sneak into the homes of all the people who have unsubscribed and re-hit that button, but I'll need to be stealthy about it. In all seriousness though, a certain someone who has left a total of 20 comments across various videos on my channel is having a birthday. Hopefully today if I can get this blog out there in time. He was actually in the army a while back, like years ago or something, and was having a conversation with our plant manager about the Metal Gear Solid series of video games. So you know, it's kind of right up his alley. I walked out to him and said that I had been toying around with this Metal Gear Solid idea for a blog for a minute, and he said, "You should." At first I really didn't know how to approach this concept since I'm not really the greatest expert with these games. But I did give it some thought and time, and I figured, to celebrate his birthday, why the piss not? The thing is though, these days it's pretty commonplace in games to be able to do all sorts of stuff that has nothing to do with progressing the game itself. Just experimenting and seeing what you can find, all those hidden details and Easter eggs and all that crap. Well, I don't think any franchise does that better than Metal Gear. Like, the amount of little details they put into all of these games, even the Phantom Pain, is just astonishing. And I don't intend to pick on the Phantom Pain, it's still great. But stuff like this shows that clearly there was some rushed development, and it is quite clearly the weakest of the saga.
That's right, the sound made when breaking a glass window by jumping through it doesn't alert anyone. But, you know, guards can hear your footsteps if you're crawling too close behind them. These trained soldiers have worse selective hearing than teenagers. It's freaking ridiculous.
Now, I actually had a script completed for this episode, but I ultimately scrapped it. I think it would be because I thought it was too, weak. I felt like I could have done more with the script. I've only ever really played a good chunk of Sons of Liberty, the second of the Solid games. Any other game in that saga, I've barely touched. And well, I started a bit too late, like after I had completed the previous script. I'm basically sitting on pins and needles trying to get this thing out on August 14th, this episode. So I think, just to save me some time, we're only going to be talking about Sons of Liberty, and no other game. Which is probably all we really need to grasp the concept of Metal Gear, at least for now. The one thing I do have to say about the first Solid entry is about footprints in the beginning of the game. When in the snow, your best bet is to crawl on it because the guards will know every other guard's position and where they walk and stuff like that. So if they see that someone had walked in an area where they weren't supposed to be walking in, they will get suspicious and follow the trail. Damn, my dude. It doesn't take long at all before I discover genius details like that. Like I just started playing. Before this game, what other game took footprints seriously? That's just, it's incredible. But anyway, I think it's about time I told you my experiences with Sons of Liberty. And well, over a year and a half ago, I posted something to my community tab about something that happened to me whilst playing Sons of Liberty. Pretty interesting story if I'm being honest. And this was a year and a half ago, plus. So I didn't know what to do with this bit of information. I wasn't considering making a Metal Gear Solid episode in 2022. That was before I grew to be what I am now. So for any of those people who think the community tab should only be for channel updates and stuff like that, at which I would agree on that, I'm gonna re-explain what had happened. I'm gonna like this part of the episode because I don't have to keep looking back and forth from the script to the screen. I can just look at my script. So there is a part in the game where you need to sneak through 3 giant rooms on the ship. There are soldiers in all 3 of these rooms, and they're watching a broadcast from the very back of the room with a giant Metal Gear robot. But the thing is, you have 7 minutes to get all the way back there and take pictures of the robot before their speech is over. You need a total of 4 pictures, one of the front left, the front right, and the Marines logo. When I played through this section, I wasn't paying attention when they said front left or front right. I just thought it said left or right. So I wasted a good chunk of time walking over to a section of the room you don't even need to go to. After having figured out what I was really supposed to do, I was cutting it so low on time that, no joke, after I got the picture correct this time, I walked over to the computer, but they were ticking down, and I literally did not have 1/100th of a second left until the timer was done. Had I made it to the computer one singular jiffy later, it would have been too late. Wow. Freaking wow. That was a feat I more than likely will never be able to pull off again when I inevitably play through this game in the future. I couldn't have been more close to screwed. Like this guy here.
Nobody move. Understood.
I have a question. Couldn't one of the soldiers just shoot that hijacker in the face? I mean, there is the possibility they could miss, which is just likely enough. And if they do, then their colonel is dead, so there's really not much they can do. They record it from afar to show all the other soldiers on the ship what is happening. Yes, hundreds and hundreds of soldiers can't do anything but panic while all that's on board are 2 hijackers. Well, 3 if you count me. Now, just a minute ago we were talking about wasting time, in which, when I first played this game, that was a pretty easy trap for me to fall into. I was having struggles collecting rations, the unit of health in these games. In case you're living under a rock, this is a stealth game. The whole point is to go slow and take your time. It's not like Zelda where you can just go up and, kill monsters. You really want to limit the amount of times that you're killing people. So you could tell that I wasn't exactly an expert at Metal Gear. Still not, but especially when I first played it. When I found myself running from section of the ocean base to another section, grinding rations in the only place where I knew where one of them was, I was just ignoring the guards. I figured it would be quicker this way to just not be stealthy and, try to get the rations so I could stock up. But the thing is, though, that's the whole point of the game. The guards will be on your ass in no time flat. And the amount of hits you'll take from them is greater than the amount of health that you'll regain from eating a ration. So it's really not worth it. Take your time, even if it's in an area you've already been in. If you need rations, go ahead, but you gotta be slow. You gotta take your time. Now, one last thing I'd like to mention before we end this episode. You may recall the part in Sons of Liberty where you gotta find the hostages, right? It takes some time to find them, but once you get into the room where they're being held, you have a few options. One, you can kick the shit out of them, and it won't actually result in a game over. I think you'll just get scolded or something. You could also kill them, but that will result in a game over, I'm pretty sure, so don't do that. What you're really supposed to do is find this guy who will give you information, because everyone is muffled and they can't speak to you directly. They'll probably just nod their head yes or no or something. And yeah, I say everyone is muffled up, except for one.
It'd be a huge help if you happen to be Ames.
My name's Jennifer.
What the hell? Could someone explain this? Everybody in that room that is tied up has a sliver of tape covering their mouths. Why is it not the same for her? I clearly do not understand this. If you do, please tell me. But good luck. That about wraps up for this episode, so I will see you later. Goodbye.